first things first, how to hold a ball, right? You're not going to learn how to throw it without holding it first. So I'll show you guys the way that I hold it and the way that I've been showing people to hold it for the past couple years. The most important thing is how we hold the ball and how we grip it to properly get this right spin and backspin on the ball when we're trying to throw it, far and hard. So I'll show you guys that first. In order to properly ensure a correct tight grip on the dodgeball, you want to put your fingers about evenly spaced apart. You don't want to be tight one side or the other, at least I don't prefer it. I like to be square onto the ball, and I throw the ball 3/4, so this is where my hand ends up when I'm throwing. But you want to grab your pinky and your thumb and try and point them together at each other. So it's not like we're grabbing it with our pointer or with our pinky and our thumb. We want to turn them over and try and grab each other like we're trying to touch them through the ball. So I think that's the first step. You don't want to grab the ball too tight where you're scrunching it almost, because you can put a lot of strain on your bicep. And if you have underdeveloped elbow muscles, it can put a lot of strain and tightness on and wear and tear on those muscles. It's how people end up with Tommy John surgery, and it's not good for you, I promise. Next up is our stance. So not only with our stance, with our hand placement, but we're gonna start off with our stance. You wanna stand about shoulder width apart or just outside of your shoulder width. And when we are throwing, we're gonna have our back foot parallel to our target. So if our target is the camera, this back foot is gonna be parallel to our target. And my front shoulder is gonna be closed. So what I mean by closed is I'm not open with this front shoulder. I'm facing it away, the same direction as my right foot. That we're not peeling off early, we're not leaking any energy out. We're creating a strong base so that when I do decide to fire, I have all this torque here ready to turn. Now in dodgeball, this part might differ a little bit because of the type of situation you get into where you have to be pump faking, you have to reset, blah, blah, blah. But if we're talking perfect scenarios for everything, that's how I like to be set up before I start the run. So even if I come up to the line, I'm standing here, someone's gonna throw at me, I'll reset my feet from here, turn and throw. Now let's focus on the throwing motion itself. A lot of people ask me how I throw hard for my size and for my stature, and a lot of it comes from baseball. Lifting weights for about 10, 12 years or however since I got to high school, and creating that strong base for myself. A lot of it comes from watching film of myself throwing and creating the arm spiral that is talked about so much in baseball. But I'll try and give you guys a head start on that. So for one, when I do enter front foot strike, so when my weight is set in the back before I throw and my left foot hits the ground, my arm is going to be coming up at this point. So I'm going to be ready to throw here. My arm is going to be anywhere from parallel to my shoulder all the way up. And we want it to be staying in line. So what I mean by that is when I'm ready, it's not going to be here. It's not going to be here. It's definitely not going to be over here, right? So I want it to be in line with my shoulder, somewhere around here. Next, I think one thing that's specific to dodgeball that people miss is landing into front foot strike. So a lot of people focus on where their arm is, and if they're closed or if they're breaking, if they're landing a front foot strike correctly. But a lot of the time they don't actually stop at front foot strike. They tend to throw on this foot and move, or you'll see a throw and then back up instantly, so they're not actually planting this leg. But you have to be able to block. If you're not blocking, then you're leaking energy all the way up the kinetic chain. Right, so when I do land, so if I do throw, I have to land and actually plant this foot. This foot has to stop my entire body weight while I go up and throw, and then I can keep going. But it has to block first, and a lot of people miss that. A lot of people leak energy or wonder why their ball isn't flying straight up. It's because you're not blocking correctly. The last thing I'll tell you about throwing mechanics wise is our arm spiral. So it's very important to come through the arm spiral once we've landed front foot strike. If we're not coming through the arm spiral and actually giving our arm time to lay back, right? If it's not doing this spiraling motion and I'm just bringing my hand up, I have no time to lay back, and my arm doesn't really know how to lay back without me doing it with momentum. Unless you're using a very heavy ball, then it's very easy. But for a dodgeball that's actually very light, we have to be careful that we are not forcing our arm or our rotator cuff to lay back. We have to actually move throughout the correct motion. Now for the last bit, I think accuracy can be just as important as throwing hard. But for the most part, later in games and in the highest level of the game, everybody throws hard. Everybody throws, but not everybody throws accurately. And that's a lot of the issue with later on in the games. You see a lot of guys trying to throw the crap out of the ball and missing by a mile. Me. So I think some common mistakes to avoid are aiming for certain parts of the body. I generally give the tip to myself, and this comes from baseball: upper left, upper right. So if I'm aiming for their upper shoulder, I think in my head the word upper right. I don't think of the body part because I get too fixated mentally and I start to tunnel on that one part of their body. But that's just a mental thing for me. And one of the things that has worked for me for the past 8 years. I would try that out next time you guys are throwing target practice at one of your friends or warming up even. Just think lower left and go for that whole, left foot all the way up to left hip. We're trying to get the ball off the side of them. Or you can say upper right. When you say upper right, you think upper shoulder, maybe the side of the head, the neck, this area of the body. So if they're on their knees or something, we're not looking for them to catch it. I know I see a lot of players get pump faked at the line, and they stop, and they kill their momentum, and they just try to get a ball off quick. I'll show you guys a clip of me doing it right here.
But Xander really showing good.
Great shot.
Shoulder.
The reflect rush.
A lot of this creates stress on the arm, and it wears it down quicker than it would be if you had just reset, shuffled your feet, done some good footwork, and made a good throw.
Oh, Hashimoto! Tragic.
Hashimoto! Tragic.
That can be the difference between spiking a ball or making that top-notch throw and getting the ball by someone's blocker. It's always important to reset your feet and get a top-notch quality throw out, because you never know, they might just miss the block, or that ball might just clip their toe or hit them straight in the chest and they don't even see it. And a lot of the times you don't need to throw through people. Power's not everything in this sport. Accuracy, waiting for the right opportunity, waiting until people aren't looking, and using your teammates' pump fakes is way more important than throwing the ball hard. But it can be cool. So if I was going to sum this up and everything, I think that those are things to get yourself into a better routine of throwing the ball straighter. So if you have more consistent mechanics, this is just a fact, the more times you're going to throw the ball the same way. And if you throw the ball the same way every time, then you know where the ball's going to go. And you can be accurate, you can be precise, and you can put it on people's certain spots on their body without even trying. You'll get to the point where you can go say, run across the court and say, left foot. And you can be able to tag someone on their left foot. It's as easy as that. That is it for my guide on how to throw a ball better. If you've improved it all or have any type of tips or things you want to ask me, go ahead and link it in the comments. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram. If you want me to expand on any of the topics that were talked about in this video, go ahead and leave a comment. And I appreciate every single one of you for watching. And if we hit 1,000 views, I'll make a video on curveballs. Later on this week, I'm going to be heading over to Dallas to play in the Foam Dodgeball Championship. And hopefully, I'll see you guys there. Good night.